Hi, and welcome to our webinar on controlling your impulsive overspending. If you shop like a champion, if you can sprint to that sales item faster than anyone else, if you notice that you've become obsessed with spending and buying, or when you see the word sale, promotion, or half price, and it just makes you feel excited, if you simply shop and spend regardless of if you need an item or not, if you plan to buy it or not, if it's a once in a lifetime opportunity or a regular season sale. If you love shopping, if you buy online, offline, you buy in the morning, at night, during your lunch break, you hunt for bargains. If you love shopping so much that it sometimes gets out of control. Maybe it started as retail therapy, as a little pick me up, but then turned into an addictive behavior where you just simply have to have it. If you catch yourself thinking, I have to have it, I can't stop thinking about this item, I deserve it, it's mine. So if you've lost the capacity to think, it's a nice dress, I'll think about it, and I think I might have something similar at home, I'll just need to check my wardrobe and then I'll decide. If you frequently use your credit card and not your savings, if you ever hide your purchases at the office or in a trunk of the car from your partner to avoid an argument, if in your lunch break you go shopping the majority of the time, if you buy items you don't need or never use, if your credit card debt is growing steadily and you recognize that you can't control it any longer, or that you simply can't continue spending money the same way anymore, then this is for you. So, what does it cost you? And how much do you pay when you shop? The short term cost is a credit card debt, a feeling of not being in control, deciding to change next time and not being able to, the feeling of disappointment, and then just going shopping again. In the midterm, it's lying, borrowing, credit card debt, relationship difficulties, and the fact that you won't be able to afford the necessities. In the long term, it can affect your employment opportunities, having a comfortable retirement, having legal difficulties, and feelings of failure, regret, or despair. And it might also force you to be in the workforce longer than needed. So, what's the cost to your mental health and well being? What's the impact of such recurrent behavior? In the short term, excitement. Immediate emotion is release or relief. You get what you wanted. However, it's often very short lived. As soon as a few minutes for many of us, we might regret the purchase, or suddenly remember your last fight with your mum or husband, or that you spent $2,000 last time and never used any of the purchases. You might hide the item or try to forget about it. So, in the midterm, there's the nagging feeling of failure. You realize you can't control yourself. You have to shop. You need to spend money. Online, offline, deals, bargains, or promotions. You can't stop thinking about it until you purchase it and never use it again. Your credit card is growing. You get stressed. If you max out your credit card, you may even apply for a personal loan, which you feel might give you a bit of time off to relax and not think about your debt. And even if you don't have a debt and continue spending excessively, you might deny yourself a holiday overseas or some other vacation or changes in lifestyle that you really need or want. So, in the long term, is the pain of disappointment with yourself, lost opportunities, those holidays that never happened and never will happen, or even buying or renovating your own house. You might feel that you're a prisoner of your lifestyle. You can't quit the job you hate because you have a huge debt, and you can't relax as debt collectors are knocking on your door. You regret your situation. You might regret not being able to help your kids through uni or buying a unit. All in all, it just doesn't feel good. You can't give yourself a break. You're someone stuck in a rut. So, when do you behave impulsively? when you make premature decisions, when you don't plan, when you prefer immediate pleasure, which results in a long term pain, and when you feel that you simply can't control yourself, not even trying to do it. You might consistently make choices focusing on immediate pleasure without thinking about the payback. So, you might be familiar with the marshmallow test. Impulsiveness is considered to be a preference for smaller rewards sooner over larger rewards later. It has been suggested that impulsiveness might arise as a difficulty of delayed gratification. Delay of gratification and temporary tolerance of dissatisfaction are considered to be a function of the reality principle, which is a better guide to self preservation rather than immediate obtainment of rewards. At times, survival can actually be dependent on the choice of smaller rewards sooner rather than larger ones later. For example, a starving animal might have to take a small amount of food immediately to ensure its survival rather than wait for a larger prey later. So, you might be asking now, what has any of this got to do with marshmallows? Basically, there was a test devised which basically put a child in a room with a marshmallow on a plate, and they were told if they can wait for 15 minutes, then they can have two as soon as the tester came back. Some children couldn't help themselves and ate it straight away. Others could wait. So, what do you choose? A little bit now or a lot more later? So, if you think that you are high in impulsivity, think about what you did usually choose at school or university. Did you start your homework and assignments straight away, or did you procrastinate and watch TV, catch up with friends, or go clubbing? The ability to persevere through some discomfort initially in order to get positive and productive outcomes is essential. If you give up as soon as it becomes difficult, do not persevere, and just go with what's easy, you're never going to get the long term rewards. If you notice that you tend to buy things you don't need, can't afford, or make purchases you regret later on, this course is for you. If you notice that the only way you know how to celebrate, cheer yourself up, or relax involves spending money, this course is for you. If your home is filled with clothes you don't wear or expensive items you rarely use, this course is for you. If you have tried to hide your purchases and shopping habits, conceal your credit card debts, or feel too ashamed to share your financial status with others, then this course is for you. This course isn't a substitute for professional treatment, but can be a valuable resource for you if you struggle with impulsive behaviors. So you might recognize Isla Fisher on the screen from the movie Confessions of a Shopaholic. What stands out the most from that movie, if you did have a chance to watch it, is that despite a risk of losing a boyfriend, ruining relationships with people close to her, sabotaging future opportunities, she just couldn't stop shopping. Was it an obsession? Was it an addiction? How do you understand your impulsive overspending? Here are some of the warning signs for you to determine if your impulsive or compulsive shopping is out of control. So, do you shop to pass time, to lift mood, to celebrate, socially? Do you have any arguments about your spending habits? Do you lie, hide, steal, or borrow? Do you ignore your incoming calls, fearing it might be a debt collector? Do you have an I deserve it attitude or a you can't control me attitude? So, what happens to people, and I will not generalize between men or women, when we feel the urge to buy, especially when our emotions are high, when we feel angry, sad, lonely, or happy? Is it modern day hunting? We don't really shop to survive. We can definitely live without an extra pair of shoes or that new iPhone. We often shop to satisfy our emotional need that is not met somewhere else. First of all, we have to admit that times have changed. Today, it's so convenient for people to catch up for coffee in a shopping center and simply enjoy the day. And of course, when people go to a shopping center to catch up with friends, to watch a movie, they probably come home with some must have items. So, what happens in our lives that shopping becomes so important? Ruth Engs, a professor of applied health science at Indiana University, believes that compulsive shopping can be as an addictive behavior, such as overeating, gambling, and alcoholism. When people feel anxious, depressed, they buy things to feel better. Sometimes we are particularly vulnerable during the silly season when everything is half price and we are saving money when we are spending. In other words, it's almost a bit easier, or we give ourselves permission or justify another purchase. I think something else happens during the silly season. We are under a lot of stress and pressure. We might feel lonely, disconnected, and it's easier to buy a 5-minute happiness. So, what are impulses and how are they related to overspending? Impulses are strong urges to act in ways that provide immediate gratification, but usually end up causing people to feel guilty, regret the decision, and experience consequences later on. Impulsivity is acting on these unhelpful urges. Impulsivity can show up in many ways in people's lives, causing a great deal of problems. Examples of impulsivity include overeating, binge drinking, and drug use, road rage and other forms of destructive anger, and gambling and overspending. These behaviors are all similar in the way that they activate the reward center in the brain, the very same part of the brain that is known to be involved in forming addictions, which helps to explain why we have such strong urges to repeat these behaviors even after they've caused us a lot of problems. When you experience an urge to spend money or make a purchase, your brain's reward center remembers the previous times when you have spent money and the immediate sense of gratification and pleasure that it resulted in, which creates a strong urge to make the purchase. The problem is that over time, this behavior has probably taken a toll on your finances, your sense of self control, and maybe even your relationships with other people. Another part of your brain also knows this, creating a conflict between the urge you feel and the sense of control that you feel you have. You are probably here because the urge tends to win this tug of war. So, how is impulsive purchasing different from premeditated purchasing? In a usual process of purchasing goods, you might become aware that you have an old mobile phone. So you think about what you might like in a new one, what features, what benefits might be appealing. So you do your research, you compare prices, you think when you'll get paid and when's a good time to purchase it. You plan to buy your new phone, you enjoy it. Impulsive purchases are different. First, we experience a trigger, followed by the purchase and immediate pleasure. However, the pleasure doesn't usually last long, as often we don't think through our purchases and we end up regretting them. So we buy because we experience a certain trigger. It's essential for you to know your triggers, what it is that evokes that urge to buy new shoes, even though you had no idea they existed 2 hours ago. Do you know your triggers? If not, we can help you to understand and to deal with your triggers effectively. So there tends to be a cycle of impulsivity that goes like this. We encounter a trigger or stressor. Maybe we're in our favorite store, have had a bad day, or just got paid. We then experience a strong urge to spend money. We act on this urge, impulsivity, and experience an immediate sense of excitement or happiness, the reward, but later on feel guilty and regret making the decision, realizing we spent the majority of our paycheck on things we didn't need, guilt and consequences. During this phase, it is common to make promises to ourselves or others to change our behavior. Maybe we see, say, Maybe we say we'll stick to our budget and start saving more, or even return some of our purchases. We mean these promises when we make them and have every intention of following through, but often haven't developed the skills to be able to handle the stress, triggers, and urges, so ultimately we end up repeating the cycle again. Now, think about yourself. Make sure that you have a pen and paper or a Word document open and you're ready for your first reflection exercise. Use the format here to identify how overspending follows the cycle of impulsivity for you. What triggers or stresses typically lead you to overspend? Are they emotions, stress, specific stores, or settings? What kinds of shopping urges do you experience? Is it a specific type of product, specific store? What is the reward you experience? Is it satisfaction or happiness? What kinds of consequences or problems does overspending cause? How do you feel after overspending? What kinds of promises do you make to yourself or others when you feel guilty about your spending habits? I hope that you see this cartoon and it shouldn't feel like a nightmare to live on a budget. But budgeting can be done easily if you give it a chance. Just make sure that you do it the right way. And if you'd like to learn how to budget and identify and deal with your triggers to help yourself to stop overspending, we can help you. Money is representational. It's a paper or a coin that has some of assigned value. We use it to buy things we need and also things we desire. Beyond that, it has a representational value in our lives as well. For some, money represents security, being able to pay for things we need and cover ourselves in the case of an unexpected life event. For others, money represents freedom, being able to feel free and independent and able to make choices about where we go, how we spend time, and the kind of lifestyle we lead. For others, money can represent success, a quantifiable measure of our achievements. For others again, money can represent power, the ability to call the shots, have things our way, not have to settle or compromise. Money can also represent status, wanting to be seen as successful, powerful, or have others admire us. Money can also represent happiness, fueled by the belief that we need a certain amount of money or specific things in order to be content and satisfied. Knowing what money represents to us is also important in understanding our rationale for the ways that we spend money. Usually, whatever money represents to us will show up in what we buy and how much we are willing to spend for certain items. Someone who views money as status or power might spend more money on things like brand name clothes, expensive watches, country club memberships, or VIP services, while someone who views money as happiness or freedom might be more likely to spend money on experiences like concerts, vacations, or on activities they enjoy. When we understand what money represents to us, and better understand some of our reasons for making certain types of purchases, we are better able to understand our motivations and find other ways to meet these. Everyone wants to feel safe, free, happy, successful, powerful, and important. All of the motivations we have listed are normal human motivations, so having one doesn't mean you're a bad person. It simply means that you may have depended too much on money and material goods to help you meet this need. Finding other ways to meet these needs is possible and could help you be more successful in making lasting changes to your spending habits. So, we're almost at the end of this short webinar, and we hope you enjoyed it. The behavior of overspending might be complex, but you've already taken the first step towards understanding it better and even changing it. You have learned about impulsivity, impulsive behaviors, triggers, how to make decisions about purchases that you are happy about, and most importantly, try to reflect, what are you trying to achieve by buying all this stuff? Is it a distraction? Is it power? Does it really make you happy? And even if it does, what else can make you happy? So thank you for being with us today. If you need any help at all or have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us by visiting our website at www.impulsivity.com.au, and we'll be more than happy to help. Speak to you soon.